Langston Hughes, he don't live around here.
We are very glad to be and to welcome Gregory Porter today for 30 Jazz Night at the Montreal Jazz Fest. So this is your second time in Montreal. How do you feel to be back?
Great. Yeah, this is one of the premier festivals in the world, and so yeah, I'm glad to be invited back and glad to be back. So yeah.
I was baptized by my daddy's horn. Hey, hey, you can't keep me away from where I was born. I was raised up by the sweet sound of the jazz man's horn. Yeah, yeah.
So you've been touring around the globe and you won a Grammy. So many things happened in the last year. Can you tell us about your most memorable performance in the last year?
In the last year, I have to think because the last 2 years are kind of running together. But I had a great performance in Holland with the Metropole Orchestra, and they played all my music and the things that I write on my way to the coffee shop and that I write on the subway made its way to that beautiful orchestra. So it was amazing to hear.
So, and you must have also lived incredible things and seen different places. So what would be, beside music, the most impressive things that you've seen?
I'm very into architecture and all over the world. Of course, almost what is as impressive as Notre Dame in France. The Blue Mosque in Istanbul was extraordinary, and the beaches of Normandy. It just goes. It's like these iconic things that I've read about and people have sang about. When you get there and you see it, it's just like really extraordinary. I really have been traveling all over the world, and so it's one day I'm standing in front of Mona Lisa, and the next day I'm in Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. So it's been extraordinary this last year.
That we have any songs, so picturing or sort of saying stories about what you've lived?
Well, the subtle inspirations that come from my surroundings, they're in the next record. But I don't sing something as obvious as Mona Lisa, which is one of my favorite songs. But things that are just inspired by a grassy hillside. This happened in France. It happened in different places in Europe and even in my own apartment, so.
I found out on my way through Harlem. Ellington, he don't live round here. He moved away one day, so they say, away from Harlem. I can hear his echo loud and clear. You can't keep me away from where I was born. No, I was baptized by my daddy's horn. Oh, you can't keep me away from where I was born. I was raised up by the sweet sound of the jazz man's horn. Oh, I found out on my way through Harlem. Langston Hughes, he don't live around here. He moved away one day from his way here in Harlem. Marvin Gaye used to play right here. You can't keep me away from where I was born. I was baptized by my daddy's horn. No, you can't keep me away from where I was born. I was raised up by the sweet sound of the jazz man's horn. Whoa.
So your your career skyrocketed in the last couple of years, and how do you manage to stay focused and to remain authentic? With all that happened.
Yeah, my family, my brother, they still treat me like I'm, still a dirty little brother, Well, no, it's kind of my, my mother instilled into me like a really healthy dose of humility, and that coupled with my own desire to stay right on the ground, to see and feel what everyday people are feeling, and I'm very much still an everyday person, though I'm a jazz singer with elements of pop and elements of soul, but they don't pay me like I'm an R&B singer or like I'm a pop singer, so I'm still very much on the ground.
Tell us, you were talking about your mom earlier, so can you tell us about your first memory of you singing in front of an audience?
The one that sticks out in my mind, I'm sure there was some before this, was I was singing my first solo at Mount Calvary Church in Los Angeles, and I had on a white cape and a red bow tie, and I sang for the audience, and my mother it was just, in order so I wouldn't get nervous, she was like, just sing to me, like I had been doing in the house. And so I sang to her, and then the audience just like, ignited, and it scared me in a way. And then I started to realize the power of music, but it was that was my first solo, and I remember that moment.
How old were you?
5. Yeah.
Step back and admire my view. Can I use the colors I choose? Do I have some say what you use? Can I get some green and some blue? Whoa!
Actually, music has been a part of your life since you were 5 years old, or?
Yeah, it always has been. My mother was a minister, and so she had me singing in church, I guess until I was I graduated high school. And then after that, I continued singing on the stage and in theater, and so it's always been a part of my life.
What about like the discipline that you have as well, vocally speaking? So what do you do just to stay focused and also, to perform night after night?
Yeah, I think I've been, blessed with just really good vocal strength, because my schedule is very, very tough. But I'm somehow I'm able to recover and be ready for the next night. It is a discipline. You have to get your rest. I enjoy wine, just like the next man. So I don't stay away from all the things that they tell you to stay away from. When I'm in France, I enjoy wine and cheese and pasta with a cream sauce, so I have it, and it doesn't cause me any problems. I just try to live my life in moderation. Yeah, that's, I think, moderation, and but you have to feel and enjoy and experience a late night jam that goes till 2 or 3 in the morning. You have to do that, and but you just have to find ways to get your proper rest and take care of yourself so you can perform again the next day.
You're a songwriter and a poet, I would say. What do you value when you write, and what are the songs that you wrote that are closest to your heart?
I think the things that I value the most is when I say something that comes from like a direct lineage from my grandmother, my grandfather, to my mother, to me. Those things satisfy me the most because it's like I see myself, my mother, and my whole family in it. When I sing the line of the song, my song, Mother's Song, and I sing, hold your baby sister's hand as she walks across the life and look out for each other. That's something that my mother used to say to us. You know, hold your brother's hand, look after your brother, and take care of each other. So I'm just putting her actions into my songs. And I do it again on this next album, the album that's coming out in September called Liquid Spirit on Blue Note Records. You know, there's a lyric, he lifted up the underneath and all his wealth he did bequeath to those who toiled without a gain so they could remember his reign. Of hungry children first he'd think to pull their lives from the brink. Beside him stood his mighty queen, an equal force, wise and keen. These lyrics are from a song called When Love Was King. And these are like the messages, life messages that my mother used to give me. But older people or wiser people, didn't have to be older people, just always mention to you to just, you know, it's the golden rule. Treat somebody like you want to be treated. And so when I put that message out there, it's directly my message. It's my political message, my ideology. That's who I am as a man. And that's coming from my mother. That's coming from my family. And so just to put that energy out there to be positive is, it feels good. And that's who I am directly, center, smack dab in the middle of the music. That's the essence of me. I mean, I want to do something positive. I want to tell a human story. But ultimately, in the end of it, I want there to be something positive.
My view, can I use the colors that I choose? Do I have some say what you use? Can I get some green and some blue?
That's actually, I think, why people like it, because, you know, very authentic, very truthful, and I have
even I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but even a broken-hearted story is therapy. It's a catharsis in a way. That's the blues. That's what the blues are. You know, the blues aren't. You know, even when you're singing about, oh, my baby don't love me, she did me oh so wrong. You know, even when you're singing something like that, you may be singing that because you're in a good place now. You may be singing that because you want to be in that good place, you know. So you have to flip the blues sometimes because there's great optimism in the blues. And that's the way I think of my songs, as little blues snippets, yeah.
Question about one of your songs. Actually, I was always wondering, like, Real Good Hands. I was always wondering if you actually went to your future in-laws and you just sang them the song and they just said, yes, sure.
This was a response. This was my response to them. Actually, they got to me before I got to them. It was fully in my head. I was like, I need to go and talk to mom and daddy. And literally days before I could do that, they called and they were like, you know, what are your intentions with my daughter? So this was my response. I couldn't speak. I was like, I couldn't speak. And 3 days later, I just wrote the song, and that was my response to them. Papa, don't you fret and don't forget that one day you was in my shoes. Somehow you paid your dues. Now you're the picture of the man that I someday want to be. That's I think if you write directly from what you're thinking, how you're feeling, it'll come across. And I can definitely sing it with conviction because it's a true story for me. Yeah.
He don't live around here. He moved away one day from his way here in Harlem. Marvin Gaye used to play right here. You can't keep me away.
So you also said in several interviews, singing with understanding.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little?
I think just the very thing that you asked about, you know, I sing, I try to, even when I pick standards, I try to pick things that are kind of true to my nature. When I sing, I fall in love too easily, I fall in love too fast. I kind of do fall in love easily. With not just people, but places, you know. I was like, oh, I could live here. I could live in Montreal. It's so beautiful here, you know. And then I go to some cool city in France or Spain, or like, oh, I could live here. Not saying that it's not a genuine like or desire. It's just I have something in me that seeks the beauty in people and places, and so yeah.
What are your other passions beside music? And yeah.
Yeah, I love to cook. Cooking is really something that I really enjoy. And I've done it for years, and that even comes from my mother's experience. She brought home a big leg of lamb one afternoon, and she was too tired to cook it. And she said, Gregory, salt and pepper and put it in the oven. Can you do that for me? And I said, yeah. And I don't know where I saw it. I think probably from Julia Childs. You guys must have had her cooking show here.
Oh, I can confirm.
Yeah, well, there. Well, it was major. She was all over the world. Julia Childs, and so she had a cooking show, and I must have learned how to do the garlic and rosemary and salt and pepper and smother it in butter and olive oil. I did that, and for no good reason, it came out perfect. And I saw my mother happy with it, and so it was like, I was a mama's boy, and that was another way to get in close to mom. And so that's where my cooking bug. So I really love cooking, and it's the same as music. When you sing a good ballad or a good mid-tempo song, it's like handing a warm plate of food to somebody.
I sure could use some of those blues from Langston Hughes. And some folks say that Marvin Gaye used to play what's going on right over there. I swear. Hey, there goes that A train. Hey, there goes that A train through Harlem. Harlem. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing in Harlem.